So it's a Sunday, it's 11:30. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our celebration of the Eucharist on this Ascension Sunday. And my favorite version of the story of the Ascension is, of course, taken from the Acts of the Apostles. Of course, in the Gospels, we have the reading which we have heard today. But if we go first to the Acts of the Apostles, we see this particular detail when it comes to the Ascension. That is when the Lord was being lifted up to the heavens. So the disciples were there looking at the Lord until there was a cloud that covered Jesus and they were no longer able to see him. And they were still there, staring at the clouds and in the sky. And then angels came and they said, "Men of Galilee, why are you looking up into the skies?" And maybe in many aspects of our life, we always look at the past and we stare at the past with some degree of nostalgia. Nostalgia is good at times wherein we try to look back at happy memories. But if nostalgia is the only thing we have, we always just look back at the past when things were better. We always look back at the things that we felt safe and comfortable. If that is our only way of thinking and approaching life, then, my dear friends, we will be like those disciples in that moment, frozen, looking up to the skies and doing nothing more. Men of Galilee, why are you staring at the skies? So the Lord would like to challenge all of us that whenever we look back at the past, whenever we look back at our own practice of the faith, especially this is particularly relevant for us right now, because sometimes at this particular stage, we look back at the days wherein we want to go back to normal. That won't happen, especially in this world. I'm not saying that it will be bad. No. Look at the stage of those disciples. They were just those disciples with the Lord, and the Lord left them. They were in that back country of Israel. They were not in the center of things. Their Lord and Master was killed. He died. And of course he rose again, but that is in the memory of everybody else. He was defeated. And they were under that spirit of fear. So if we look back, that is where they will remain. If all they did was to stare in the clouds, looking back at the good old days. But we are challenged by the Lord in the same challenge as what the Lord had given to his disciples. And this main challenge is contained in our gospel reading for today, taken from the same story. Probably some of the details may have changed, but that is also the time wherein the Lord had sent them. Don't just stay here, go! And that is our parish motto right now, something that we have embraced as a parish here in Holy Family. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations. Go. Don't just say, "But Lord, things have changed." Go. Accept what you have been given. Don't look back at the past with nostalgia, because it will just bring us a sense of loss and bitterness. If the disciples spent time where we were always with the Lord gave us free food. The Lord was very popular. I remember the days when the Lord would be there and would gather thousands of people around. And people will be singing Hosanna. If we are going to spend time looking at things from that point of view, that the past was always better, then those disciples will not venture into new worlds. And that, my dear friends, is something that we have to consider as a parish and as a people of God. There's no turning back right now. The Lord had opened for us a new world, new ways of doing things, new ways of reaching out, new ways to be church. The church remains. God is the same. The Eucharist will always be there until the end of time. But we are given open doors right now, and we can run away with it as far as we can. And that is the challenge of the Lord to all of us. All we need is some sense of courage. And to accept that indeed, in order to ascend, this is something that we have read in our second reading from Paul's letter to the Ephesians. If you speak about the Lord ascending into heaven, you also would have to say that it means that he had descended also. That means the Lord, in order to have that moment of glory of the ascension, would have had gone through a moment wherein he had descended into hell. And maybe, my dear friends, we have descended in some degree into hell. Moments wherein we feel afraid. Moments wherein we feel insecure. The moments when we feel uncertain of the future. Yes, my dear friends, we have descended, but it gives us the momentum. It's like a rubber band, right? You go down a little bit, like playing Angry Birds, right? You have to pull back the rubber band, and this is the time where the Lord would like us to release ourselves. Remember, at the start, during the first Sunday of extraordinary time, also known as the fifth Sunday of Lent. You remember our reflection? It was the time when we read about the story of Lazarus. How are we going to go out of the tomb? Are we people who will say, "Oh, I like the tomb better, it's cozy here"? I like to look back at the past. I like to scratch at my old wounds, my resentments, my anger, the times that I heard my mom told me something that was hurtful. I'd like to stay here in the tomb, scratch my wounds, and stay in place. When I mean stay in place, I don't mean that we have to start going out, no. What I'm talking about is the attitude of the heart. Now, my dear friends, is the time we know, this is what the Archbishop said. The time of the opening of the church is fast approaching. Not now, not yet, but we know it will come. It will be different. Probably here in this church, maybe we can only accept X number of people. So we are readying the church. If there are more people coming in, then we will have places where we can gather, wherein we can still all receive the Eucharist. But we have to accept that. And we have to find ways to maximize this opportunity that we have, wherein we have a great reach online. Amazing, my dear friends. There are many people out there listening to us, and it is not just here within the confines of Artesia, Cerritos, Lakewood, or Norwalk. Not only are the usual suspects of those who also are part of our parish from Orange County, as far as Irvine. Okay, our pianist and our cantor is from Orange County. As far as Irvine, okay? So, it's even beyond that. We have people who are out there, and we have reached a lot of people in our masses. Ultimately, we have tens of thousands of views during our masses. That is a gift from the Lord, and that means we have to realize that it might be better for us as real disciples of the Lord, not just to look back and look at things from the lens of nostalgia, of the past will always be better than the present. Who said so? We look at the past always with some degree of romanticism, that we are blind to the darkness also of the past. But tomorrow, in the words of Billy Joel, yesterday wasn't always good, and tomorrow is not as bad as it seems. We are called to be people of the Ascension. Don't stare at the clouds where Jesus had gone like our faded memories. Yes, my dear friends, we look back at our church and we know things will change. But we have a choice. Will we be people? No matter how much the Lord will call us, Lazarus, come out, we will stay inside the tomb and allow our wounds to fester. Or are we going to go out alive and to go and make disciples of all nations? I need your help to do that. And I hope during this time we are now starting our engines. Drivers, start your engines. We have a new set of coordinators and readers today. And they said, Father, it feels weird because we have not served for a long time. I said, the church has remained the same. You'll remember it like riding a bike. So drivers, start your engines. Church leaders, leaders of ministry, start your engines. We are about to go out of the tomb soon. We're not going to rush, okay? We're going to wait for that check, for that start sign from our boss. But we go out. It's a different racetrack. And we have to accept that. We might have bumps along the way. We might crash along the way. But we'll still keep on running and we'll help each other out. But I cannot do this on my own. I need your help. We need your help. We need more volunteers. We probably would need areas. There are areas that we'll have to tone down a little bit. I think if we have read some of the writings, maybe we have to tone down a little bit on choir singing, right? So maybe if you are part of the choir, of course we have creative ways to express music in the parish, and that's something that's great. But if you feel that, Lord, maybe I have more time to serve the Lord as a welcoming usher, or somebody who would go to the sick to give communion. My dear friends, this is a different racetrack. We're all serving the Lord. So maybe let's start to rethink, Lord, I'll be realistic. Instead of just looking back at the past, I will look forward to the next stage in my life in serving you and you alone. And we will be the better for it. Okay, my dear friends? Our boss had gone up to heaven, and we, the body, will follow. How are we going to follow? Sluggishly? Always looking at the back? We won't run fast if we always look back. Let's look forward. It's different, yes. But we look forward because we have a mission to do. And that mission has always been in our t-shirts, in our parish logo, and in our hearts. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy